Hi everyone, I'm Rochelle, and I just had something brought to my attention then, and I also was just on a walk, and it was super glary, so I was just sort of sharing some words in my memo, and I thought I'll hash on it when I get back. So, two things, and they sort of run pretty closely parallel. So, whether you're talking about your parents or other family members, friends, partner, society at large, that they don't have to get everything you do. And I want to say as well, not do because of somebody else. So whether that be to do something creative, whether that to do something expansive, whether that be to pursue something. And that was literally like I was just sort of storing a message that was going on from something that I was listening to whilst I was walking, and it was saying a message from your future self. So it rolled on from something else. So I thought, I'll have a listen and see what it's got to say. And she's a beautiful girl too. So I sort of thought I wanted to hear what she had to say. Anyways, and she was saying from a message from your future self, and basically saying, you're not crazy for having these thoughts, these feelings, these desires, as in like intuitive, passionate desire to want to help people, to want to step away from the crowd, to want to do more with your life, other than just tick the everyday boxes. What I can sort of, and even the word normal holds a lot of weight. And I've always said from the get-go, or for many years now, I always knew I was wired different. Sorry guys, I'm sitting down. It's a pretty little spot where I'm sitting, but all I've got behind me, aesthetically pleasing, is a light switch. So sorry about that. Hang on. Oh, it's bloody gone for now. Well, my side stories, sometimes that happens. Yeah, that's right, I'm back. So I always knew I was wired different, though, and I never wanted to be normal. Like, I had a notebook back in the day that said, sometimes I try and be normal, but then I get bored and go back to being myself. So the thing is, just do you. And what I was just sharing in the memo just now is, we do. We have our family, we have our culture, generally speaking, we have our religion, and things like that. I don't want to hash on that too much, though. I just want to say, like, those things as well, and tradition, have all been designed in different ways. Like, the core of them are always beautiful. There's just 333. The core of them are always beautiful, though then we have man-made manipulation. So we still have a level of control that, pardon me, my ears itchy. Whether it be, so I'm trying to, that light switch is annoying me now. I'm trying to get it out of the picture. That we still, so whether you're talking, and again, like, there was a part of me that was still hungering to find a church that I could just go to, a church that doesn't have ego in it as well, because there's still a thing, and then even still, like a spiritual church, there's still spiritual ego, and there's still ego inside the churches and the masses, whilst you're still sort of following suit, then, and in your suit, and your Sunday best, then you fly under the radar. But as soon as you want to step away from the crowd, or have an opinion, or question some things, then all of a sudden, what's wrong with you? Now you can be a troublemaker. Or exactly that. Like, I was actually watching a thing this morning on, a girlfriend posted a thing on witches, and it was saying the church was basically a picture of like these women all along on the stake sort of thing, and it was saying the church burnt witches, and then underneath it had the church burnt women, like, and healers. And so again, I don't want to go into sort of hash on that because that's not the point that I'm making, though I just want to sort of share just in that general sort of global sort of thing. Who's going to make messaging at the second? Yeah, so, and the thing is, it's a way, like even society, like with the news and the radio. Like I stopped listening to the radio a long time ago because I just found that it played the same 10 songs all day. Like, and I just thought it's a fucking insult to our intelligence. Like, and the same with the news. Like the news, yeah, like we were, sorry guys, you're just gonna have to deal with that light switch. It's a bit prettier over here. Yeah, like the news, like it's all fear-based stuff. Like it's all fear-based or anger, frustration provoking sort of things. Like, and then it's on at nighttime at 6:30 at the time that most people are digesting their food. So whilst you're and that's another thing too, like it's not just important what we choose to consume in our mouths, like what we just choose to eat, and like it matters just as much what we consume with our ears and our environment. So, and who we choose to spend our time with, like it's all energy and it all matters, like it all reflects our energy. So yeah, like, and in saying that though too, like we can't let those things bother us to the point that it affects our energy. It's a bit of a contrasting statement there, but yeah, like if you can get what I mean with that too, like just because somebody projects at you and things like that does not mean that equals your energy now for the day. Like, and this is where it comes back to self-love, self-care, self-nurturing, having your own back, equaling your self-worth and equaling your own trust, like your trust of yourself, to then equal, to trust in a moment, and to also to know your nervous system, to know when your nervous system is being rocked by another, or when you're in the presence of somebody of going, oh, like that I don't feel very good right now, or all of a sudden I'm feeling on the defense or being spiked in a moment. Sometimes trauma can do that to us anyway, so I do just want to give room for that. This is what the healing journey is all about. It's learning and discovering those things about yourself as well. So we've got our intuition, but we've also got our trauma responses. So sometimes you really do have to decipher when in a moment whether this is like a survival mode mechanism that's being triggered, and sort of getting on the defense, or whether it is your intuition. And with that, I will say our intuition is usually a lot more gentle. It's a lot more subtle. And it's usually sort of, just sort of pops at you, and sort of will pop at you more than once. So like, I know I'm jumping around, but it's all sort of, tied in. So yeah, like there's a sentence that I love is, your repetitive thoughts are answers to your prayers, because it is like, whether you say it as your higher self, God, intuition, angels, all of the above, your guides, your ancestors, sometimes we do have sort of knowledge that comes across and is delivered, and messages that are delivered to us from our loved ones, whether, just on the astral plane. So, and then I just want to jump back to what I was saying. So basically, don't let another one's energy influence you. And I mean that as well as society at large, tradition, family projections, and sort of having that bar. You should be able to know inside yourself whether you're a little bit off course, Though, again, like even if you're off course, there's still a reason that there's a part of you that wants to explore something else, or yeah, so that's another video in itself, so we'll leave that alone for now. Yeah, so basically what I wanted to say is choose your audience. Like when it comes to, that's what I was sort of sharing in the memo as well. Choose your audience, and your family and your loved ones, they may still love you, absolutely, though I call them black and white thinkers. Some people in our lives are black and white thinkers, and so yeah, they're not going to get what you're actually saying, and you know, like they're not always supposed to, and sometimes, and then acceptance is what I feel is a key thing that we learn from our family members, which acceptance to me sort of runs pretty closely parallel to unconditional love. You know, I know we don't always feel, it's just one. I know we don't always feel unconditional love for our family members. Sometimes we can feel a lot of judgment and a lot of rules and, you know, a lot of, yeah, projections and stipulations and things like that that sort of get forced upon us, and even from a young age before we even knew better. And so, yeah, it sucks. Though that's where your own journey and your own healing journey and knowing yourself comes into play, because really, like how I think now, you know, and even when it comes to bosses, I say now, I work for God. I work for God. And God is the only one that I'll allow to breadcrumb me these days. And yeah, as for my family members, I lovingly just stood back from my relationship with my mum just after Christmas in January, because I just thought, you're not hearing me. Like, you're not hearing what I have to say, and you're not seeing me as a person, as a grown-ass woman. You're still thinking that you can throw a tantrum and get away with it and sort of control the situation. And guys, that's what a lot of it boils down to, whether you're talking, whether you're talking your own, inside your own household or externally. A lot of it boils down to control, and has done so for centuries. So the thing is just to learn to lovingly control yourself. And what I mean by that is even like, like taking accountability, learning how to respond to a situation rather than react. And that does boil down to self-love, self-care, self-worth, because when your self-worth cup and tank is full and you're able to trust yourself in a moment, then you can choose and know that it's not about you, like what they're sort of saying, and choose to, like just respond, and even sort of question, put it back onto them. That's interesting that you feel like that, you know, ... I'm curious about what you actually meant by that, you know, and you sort of hold your space and hold your own, rather than, and that was sort of something as well. My mother took me out, as in energetically speaking, over Christmas, because I went there, because I'd done a lot of healing work on my mum, on myself, and I dropped my guard. Like I was just going, my mum's had a few health ailments throughout the year. We hadn't really spent a Christmas. She lives interstate, so we hadn't really spent a Christmas there. So we drove, we drove sort of more than sort of 11 hours or so, to have a Christmas up that way. But I went there to just have a Christmas with my mum. I forgot all about the antics and shenanigans and the fucking, just the minefield, like that you got to navigate, energetically speaking. And it can be a head F, and I totally forgot. And that's what, like, I was hearing her, and I just thought, excuse my French, but I do swear on my channel, fuck this. And I just thought, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not catering to this kind of energy anymore. Like, I've got my own household, I've got my own partner. He's got children. Like, you know, I don't need this shit. Like, I don't have to abide by your rules. I don't have to cater to this kind of thing anymore. I don't have to feel small when she's literally smaller. But it's not about that, I know. But more to the point, I thought, I don't let anybody else speak to me like this. Why you? Why am I catering to this? And it was the same thing, even my brother, the same thing. It's a similar energy. I love them both, though I just drew a hard line in the sand, and I was just like, I don't need to put up with this anymore. And if you can't learn to respect me properly, then yeah, I can't work with this energy anymore. And and look, like I just want to hash back on church and things like that for a little moment to say I love God and I acknowledge God every day, and I include him in a lot of things and I say, obviously we say him, but again, you know, and just that God word, I use that word because it just gives an understanding. It's a label to articulate something that is really hard to fathom, you know, to the magnitude and things like that. So I do use the word God. And on that note, I have been feeling I actually want to make a group, to have a group that is ego-free, that is just good vibes, and that we can talk about God, but we can also talk about spirituality and so-called new age sort of way of thinking. Like, I've got my tarot cards and I've got my angel and oracle cards, and I meditate and I burn incense and things like that. I'm laughing because with that one, because one of my really good girlfriends is now reborn again Christian, and I love her soul regardless, you know, of anything. But though, when she chose to do this, she actually gave all her cards, crystals, incense away. Like, and I was like, why? I said, why did you do that? I said, they're just tools. They're tools to communicate and connect with God. And the beautiful illustrations, guys, the beautiful illustrations that are channeled through from our brains, you know, and from our soul and from our spirit, is from God. Like, where do you think you get ideas from? Like, unless, you know, yes, there is that darker side at play sometimes too. There is spiritual warfare and things like that. Though, when you're talking of pure things that you have channeled through, that you know was from a pure angelic source, where do you think that comes from? So, you know, like, I just sort of think there's room for both. And like, yeah, like, I just sort of think it doesn't need to be all or nothing, and it doesn't need to be choose a side of the fence. And yeah, I can understand that, yeah, like back in the day, the church was a little bit more of a black and white way of thinking. And because years ago, it was a lot more fear-based because we hadn't evolved properly yet. So we hadn't figured things out for ourselves, or and the church included, you know, the church, politicians and things like that. Those guys, slowly but surely, are evolving as well. And like I said, like, I was hungering, like, even before COVID, I was hungering to find a space that I could just go and be and celebrate God, you know, just celebrate life and living, and just be surrounded by good people, good souls and good energy, without stigma, without projecting, without rules and regulations and expectations and things like that. So I think I might just create it. So yeah, and I do listen to Christian things sometimes. There's a lady named Terry Savelle who is very godly, but she is an angel, 100%, and she's doing God's work every day. And then so am I, in my own way. Like, whether you call, you know, like, obviously for me, like, understand the term more light worker or earth angel and things like that, though. still angels at the end of the day, and still helping people heal and shift perspectives and to love themselves more and to love God more and to appreciate life more and things like that, you know, and to live and to be a good person, to have integrity, even whilst you're in the car park at a shop, you know, or on the roads. Do you choose to, you know, one of my favorite little sayings and mottos, I don't know if you would call it either of them, but one of my favorite little things to say is, who are you being when nobody's watching? And, you know, like that is God all over, like the integrity behind that. Who are you being when nobody is watching? Do you walk past that piece of rubbish on the ground, or do you pick it up? Do you help that old lady? And it's not just, you know, the cliche of an old lady. Do you help that person in a moment that you can see is really struggling? Or do you compliment that person as you're brushing past them in the supermarket? Or, you know, like it's just those little things that you may not even come home and tell people that you did. And that is what it's about. So, and that I have done countless times in my life, you know, and again, it's not about the I and the me in there. And yeah, you know, and even a part of me feels bad sometimes of not sharing more and not sharing more on my YouTube channel, not sharing more on my Facebook and Instagram and things like that, because I was maybe having a bad hair day or just not feeling good in myself. And sometimes when we share things and when we do things creatively or with kindness or in the name of service, we actually energize ourselves anyway. So sometimes when we sort of think, oh, you know, and it's usually our own ego bullshit anyway. So yeah, like when we sort of think to ourselves, oh, you know, I just can't right now, you know, it's that classic case, and I'm literally teaching myself, I'm saying these words to myself as I'm going here. Yeah, like sometimes it's not about you. It's bigger than you, and yeah, and it's just two right now. So yeah, so I just want to say as well, live for yourself. And there is actually there's many things that I've wrote down, even just in my notes, because I do get downloads often. Though, yeah, there was a superficial fear factor, you know, and like what was posted on a girlfriend's thing this morning, like, and I came across some other, what was it called? A patriarchal wound, I think it was called. So basically where you're feeling scared to share these kind of things because you are worried about judgment, because once upon a time it was fucking life or death. So forgive me for preserving, though, up until now, because from here on in, yeah, I am just going to be sharing. And if people, you know, lovingly speaking, if I know without a shadow of a doubt that I won't be everybody's cup of tea. And I've said that for ages too. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, though tea is still the most drank drink in the world. And yeah, that's just a little bit of tongue in cheek, but funny. But yeah, like if people there's so many different types of people out there, and if it doesn't resonate with somebody, then there's millions of other things that they can watch and vibe with. So I'm just going to leave it at that now, and just trust that God is going to guide the right people to my channel, and give me the right messages to bring through for whomever, and the multiples and the masses. So yeah, so anyways, I'm going to leave this at this for now, and just trust yourself. And if you want to do something, and if you want to even experiment with something and feel into something, then do it. Don't worry about what other family members will say or what society will say. You know, even, yeah, like, and I was going to say what your partner will say, but the thing is as well, align yourself with a beautiful partner that gets you, that understands all facets of you, not just because you look a certain way or things like that, that really sees your heart and soul, not just what's palatable externally, and looks good. So yeah, all right, so I'm just going to leave this at this for now, and happy healing. More to be shared.